So I am really nervous about making introductions for videos. Kristen does it so well, but I've appeared, I've like hijacked her channel and I'm on here and I'm not good at making introductions for videos because I feel really awkward. So I'm just gonna go into this very awkward introduction and tell you that my name's Emily Rose and I have a YouTube channel called Emily Rose, and I talk a lot about mental health and mainly anxiety, because anxiety is the thing that I suffer with, and Kristen has very kindly invited me onto her channel today to talk about misconceptions of OCD. So I'm just going to be talking you through a couple of the misconceptions that I've faced, or things that people often face when they have OCD, and these aren't even nearly half of the misconceptions of OCD. There's so many, but I'm just going to talk about a couple today or this video would be super long. I feel like OCD there's so many misconceptions because it's one of the mental illnesses that isn't talked about too much. It's something that I think a lot of people still don't understand, and it's due to ignorance. It's not due to people not wanting to understand. A lot of the time it's because people just have never been exposed to it, and it's a hard thing to try and explain as well. The first misconception I'm going to talk about is OCD isn't always visible. I think a lot of the time when you think of somebody with OCD, you think of somebody obsessively checking doors, or obsessively washing their hands, or obsessively counting things or touching things. Sometimes people that have OCD don't always do that kind of thing. They might have the obsessive thoughts and not as many obsessive-compulsive actions or things that you can see. They might be things that they're counting in their head around the room that they don't visibly have to touch. It's not always visible. Just because you don't see somebody always doing actions for their OCD, it doesn't mean that they're really not suffering, or it doesn't mean that they don't have as bad OCD. They can still be really feel quite unwell with their OCD. You just might not be able to see it. Second misconception is people sometimes think that it's not a big deal. OCD, at least you don't have depression, at least you don't have anxiety. I've had that a lot. People have said to me, well, at least you don't have depression. And I've been like, what? I have OCD, it's really severe. It can be really debilitating for people, and it can affect your relationships with people, it can affect your work, it can affect your family life. It really can cripple you and make you feel very unwell. A quick story about me when I had really severe OCD is I remember it took me an hour or something to walk up a street because I kept standing on the cracks, and it made me feel like, oh my god, I need to go back and start from the beginning of this street or something bad's gonna happen. And this street was a 3-minute walk and it took me so long to walk up the street, and I was with my boyfriend who just it was very hard for him to understand why I was doing that, because it's a very hard thing to understand, but that just shows how crippling anxiety can be. And sometimes it doesn't let you say the words that you want to say, it doesn't let you go to places you want to go to, it doesn't let you shower some days. It can be very debilitating. The next misconception is, I think a lot of people will hear this, that people will say, I have a bit of an OCD personality, or oh, that's just my OCD, and use it very flippantly and don't have an OCD disorder. I'm not somebody and you're not somebody that can say who does and who doesn't have OCD. That is something that a doctor will have to tell somebody, that is something for somebody else to decide. But there are a lot of people who use the term OCD not as mental illness. And that is very frustrating and it makes me quite angry. I'm sure with any mental illness, if somebody uses it in a very just passive way where they're just saying, oh yeah, I'm feeling really like I've got such bad depression today, or whatever they're saying, and they use it and they don't understand what they're saying, it's so frustrating. And I think it's something that maybe I shouldn't be so frustrated by. Maybe it's not as big a deal, but I think the biggest misconception that I have faced is people being like, well, everyone's got OCD, like it's not a big deal. Not everybody has OCD. It's something that can be so severe, and it's not something to just say in passing comment. That can be really offensive to people that really do suffer with a mental illness. So that's the biggest thing that gets to me when it comes to OCD or any mental illness, is when people just make a big joke of it. It's not funny. And the last misconception I'm going to talk about is, I think sometimes people think that they can't get better from OCD. I understand why you think like that. Just like other mental illnesses, when you have OCD, it feels like, oh my god, how am I ever going to get out of this? People might tell you, oh, just stop doing the OCD OCD actions or just pretend that it's not happening, blah blah blah. It's really not as easy as that, and although that can help some people, although some people can just stop doing the OCD actions and they're okay, it's not as easy as that for most people that suffer with OCD. It doesn't mean that you can't get better. I also always thought like maybe I'm the exception to the rule, maybe people can get better from OCD and anxiety but I can't. Just remember, you aren't the exception to the rule. With the right help, maybe it will take a while for you to find what help works for you, what medication works for you, what therapy works for you. Maybe one day you might wake up and it might just be better. If you're not ready to get better right now, that's also okay. There's no one way or one time you have to get over what you're suffering with, but you can get better. Just remember that and always have hope and always just try and keep going, because I know, I really know how it feels. I know what it's like to feel like I can never ever get out of this. This is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Some people might have OCD on and off throughout the years. Some people it might never completely go away, but you can definitely get better. So thank you very much, Kristen, for having me on your channel. It's been really nice to talk about OCD misconceptions, and it's something I feel very strongly about, and it's been really nice to just be on your channel. This is weird that you're seeing me on a different channel. So weird, so crazy to me. But thanks very much for watching, everybody, and I will see you another time, I'm sure. Bye!